Hi everybody, Catfish Jones here. I had intended to do a little car talk this evening after work, but forgot the good camera at home. So instead of car talk with Catfish, this evening you guys get pipe walk with Catfish. And I couldn't ask for a better night. Not quite 60, maybe 60-ish, give or take a little bit. Good weather, nice and calm, not really a breeze. This field that I walk on, let me take a look at it. It's an old cornfield. I think they grow corn every year. And we've recently had some moisture, some snow melt. And so I'm not too worried dryness-wise about puffing a pipe while I go for a walk out here. I'm not too worried about damaging somebody's crops. Just a nice little spot. Got a buddy dog. Not sure who it is, but one of our buddies. Hey, buddy. Good boy. Good. Actually, I don't know the gender, I just guessed. That's what you say to a dog. It's a nice little spot here in the neighborhood where we all kind of come and go for walks. His owner's a little bit, I don't know, way back there in the back. Been watching some timber drifter lately. Seems he's in Kansas. And exploring some public hunting land, which I've never done any hunting myself, never fired a gun in my life. Not necessarily something I'm proud of, just never had the opportunity or necessarily the desire. More of a guitar player than a gun shooter, but politically not opposed to shooting guns. Grew up in a very hunting family. Mostly we did fishing though, with our family. Maybe there's some pictures of me as a young chap with some dead animals, but in my life, never fired a gun. My wife, on the other hand, is quite a gun person, not necessarily a gun nut, but not opposed, has a steady hand. We've decided were we ever subject to an apocalypse, she would be in charge of the shooting, and I would be in charge of the flying. I don't know why we would fly in an apocalypse, but you never know. You never know. I've seen Terminator 3. I know what happens. I know what can go down. Yes, indeed. I'm citing Terminator 3 again. Yeah, had a great little vlog this morning. Had a great little song. I did a few takes and talked about some stuff. In some of the takes, I don't know if I actually kept, including maybe potentially a episodic bit of content from old Catfish that I might call Conspiracy Corner, where I just get to discuss just a myriad of different conspiracy theories that have been chucked out there since, well, really, they start in 1963 at the Kennedy assassination. And from there, the label was attached to anybody who was investigating it as something other than the official story of a lone gunman. And for me, there's a lot of topics to touch on in the conspiracy theory circle. Not just the big ones, aliens and Kennedy and, that type of stuff, but one of the original conspiracy theorists is a lady called Mae Brussell, who was a housewife when the report on Kennedy's assassination was released, the Warren Commission report. And at that point, you had to spend quite a bit of your own personal money to get the full copy with all the notes. Well, she had the time, she had the interest and the money, and so she did purchase a full copy of the Warren Commission report. She looked through every note and every detail and cross-referenced it with public information from, news, papers, I guess at that time newspapers. She took 8 papers a day from across the country and compiled tons of information in kind of a dossier file for each person that was mentioned. So it had a nice cross-referenceable, so when all this stuff kind of came up, she could go right to her file and say, well, look, this person was involved in X, Y, and Z. And so with the Kennedy assassination, she found tons of holes, which I'm quick to point out that evidence is not proof. You can find evidence of a lot of things, and it doesn't necessarily prove those things exist. And so it's very important for me to not necessarily have a mind that is blindly open, but to have a skeptical mind that trusts nothing and make sure that anything I look at is vetted thoroughly, looked at skeptically, questioned, doubted, not trusted. And to me, that goes for not just the conspiracy stuff, but also regular news, everyday, ordinary stuff going on in the world. And right now in the world, that in itself is a very interesting meme, which I'm sure you've all heard a little bit about here and there. You can't get away from it. I happen to be watching it very closely because I'm very interested. And I don't really like to talk about it too much because the current situations really lead down some interesting paths. And not always are those paths palatable to everybody. And I like to keep the Catfish content somewhat palatable. But because I am interested to such a great degree in the conspiracy theories, I may just do a little bit of Conspiracy Corner with Catfish at some point down the road. I tell you what, if you think that's a good idea, if you're interested in, seeing me chat a little bit about some conspiracies, go ahead and leave me a comment below, and maybe we make it a thing. Of course, if nobody's interested, I mean, I could just talk to myself about them and not necessarily have to share them. So I'm interested to see what you guys think. I mentioned it's a beautiful evening, although I turned around and caught a little bit of the wind. The sun, and you can see it over there. Just see it over there? It's kind of over there, just about to go down. A lot of its light has waned, has ceased, and so it's a little bit cooler now. A little bit cooler. I'm glad I wore a flannel, because it would be cold had I not. But yeah, I mentioned old Timber Drifter, watching some videos of him, and like I say, he's out walking on public hunting ground, and a little citizen archaeology on a little homestead he found there. Great content, really compelling. I love watching it, and there's a lot of great content out there from Timber Drifter, who's of course a piper, and encouraging me to include the pipe as content. Pardon me, that was a bit of a chill I caught there. Brrr. Which means I have to hurry up and get home before I freeze to death. And maybe I'll end up doing a car talk tomorrow still. I really do like that format because I don't have to have my hands doing anything with the video. I just stick it on the dash and record me, and you get to see me through the steering wheel, running my mouth about random topics. Interestingly, and I may have mentioned this in the vlog this morning, I don't recall if I did or not, so far this week I have attempted at least 2, if not 3, car talk with Catfish. It would have to be 2. It would have to be 2 because of the day of the week. Although I think the third one was last Friday. That's why I'm thinking of 3. Because last Friday, Monday, and Tuesday, I had shot video and really intended to share it with you guys. On Friday, it must have been shooting a video, having a fun time, driving and talking at a stoplight, about to go a different direction than I usually go, which is weird for me. When around the corner comes a friend of mine that I haven't seen for a very long time, and I was already in the turning lane to whip around and catch him get to touch base a little bit, get to exchange numbers, which is very important in this day and age. But it did cost me the car talk. It may have been yesterday that I did another one that was beyond my control, recording, rambling, just running at the mouth, and all of a sudden my recording machine died due to battery. Got to keep the battery charged. So, a couple failures for car talks this week. Had wonderful weather, had a pipe waiting, and figured I'd come out and do a little bit of pipe walk with Catfish. A little bit of an alternative, a little something different, and I hope you guys have enjoyed it. Not that I'm really talking about much of anything, but having a fun time, just rambling, walking through. You can really see the old corn cobs down here too. And you know, they leave some of those, and then the geese end up plopping down on their journey wherever they may be journeying to, catch a little bit of a free meal, maybe fertilize the ground a little bit themselves, and the circle of life moves on. You see this airplane over here? There he is. I'm pretty close to an airport. In fact, it's not a major airport, but in the 60s, this area was a major Air Force base with a very long runway, abnormally long, and it put us on the list of backups for the space shuttle missions, which were never used here. But what we were used for, I don't know if you remember, Burt Rutan had built an airplane that was able to circumnavigate the globe in one go. Late 90s, early 2000s, something like that. And that launched and landed here in my hometown of Salina, Kansas, on our extremely long runway. And that's our claim to fame. Not the only one, but an interesting one. So I thought I'd share that with you. I think I've walked as far as I can. I walked all the way out there beyond them trees and back. Our puppy friend had his little run, or her little run. I really don't know. I didn't check the gear. And probably back home in the warm. So I'm going to wrap it up right here. It's been a fun pipe time. This is my, you can see the symbol to prove it's Dr. Graybo, which is the majority of what I pipe. And still working on this glass jar of house rough that I'm trying to get through so I can purchase another tin. I think that's a sign that it's done. I think it's a sign that I'm done. I hope you guys are well. I hope you guys have been well. Hope the week has been well for you. Here we are at the middle point and ready to call it. So, everybody, I've been Catfish Jones. You guys have been awesome, and I look forward to seeing you again very, very soon. If not sooner, at least on Sunday for a tiny painting, which has not yet been painted, to be quite honest, and not even mentally composed. So we'll see what we see on Sunday. Until then, everybody be well and take care of each other. We'll see you. Cheers.